Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, I'm doing an EDC update, but this is a kind of special edition EDC. This is a funeral EDC. Yesterday, I went to a funeral, and just out of respect, I'm not going to say who it was. All I'm going to say is it was out of state, and this person will be extremely missed. Very loved, and it's extremely sad. Because it was out of state, I had to change some things. Obviously, the big thing you can see here is I don't have a gun. No firearms allowed because I'm not legally allowed to carry it where I was and where I was traveling through. So this is what I had on me. And believe it or not, every single item that I carried, I used. And I'm going to tell you what it is and how I used it. So first off, the phone. That should be obvious. It's just same old phone, OtterBox. The only thing that's bugging me about this case, I don't know if I mentioned it in my last EDC update, but this part right here, it'll always be loose and floppy because they have these two tiny little rubber prongs there, and they just do not want to stay in the case where they're supposed to go. I'll pop them in, 2 seconds later, they'll pop out. So that's annoying. I still love the OtterBox, and I'm still going to use the case, but that is annoying. That's just a design flaw. Doesn't do that with my wife's phone. She has the newer one, whatever the newest one is. The case fits perfect, but for this one on the 5S, it just gets a little floppy, which is annoying. So besides that, the keys haven't changed, the items that were on the keys, but I did have a headache at some point, so I did use my little pill carrier, my little capsule I got from CountyCom, and I showed a couple people my little zombie skull, which they enjoyed. But yeah, keys, obviously I need to drive there, so I use those. The wallet I switched off temporarily just for the occasion. I went back to the big skinny. I do really like this wallet a lot. It is so ridiculously skinny. Because I was wearing black dress pants, I couldn't have my other wallet. The saddleback leather is just way too fat for a dress pants situation. So put the essentials in here, you know, money, some cards just in case, ID. Did carry my gun permit even though I didn't have my gun. I just like to have it with me. But yeah, the big skinny wallet is awesome. Super, super slender. I actually I'm so used to touching my stuff like in my pockets. Sounds weird. I touch myself all the time. But I do. I touch myself all the time. I kind of pat my gun, make sure it's still there. Pat my wallet, make sure it's still there. I'm constantly doing that because I carry so many things. Like I want to make sure it's always there. I'm just used to doing that. And I kept reaching for my wallet and I felt like my pocket was empty. That's how, you know, skinny and non-existent this is compared to what I've been carrying for so long now. So I kept, you know, touching my butt, grabbing myself. Must have been getting weird looks, but I kept reaching back to it like, oh no, and I was kind of mini freaking out like, oh no, I lost my wallet. And I realized, no, I just switched to this one. So yeah, it's a weird situation to go from such a fat wallet to a skinny one. But I will go back. This was just for this occasion. So for this this funeral, I just wore black dress pants, black shoes, like a white undershirt, which you obviously couldn't see, and a black belt, black shirt, black tie. So everything was all black. But because I was kind of dressy, I didn't wear my neck knife, which you don't see here, which was very strange to me. Actually felt weird not having it on because I have it on so often. I'm just used to that couple ounces, you know, hanging around the neck all the time. And just felt different. It felt weird. But even though I could have tucked it under the shirt, it would have bulged out a little bit. It would have looked odd. So I didn't want to do it. So the only blade that I carried was this one. This is the Custom Knife Factory T90, which got used a lot actually. Cut a tag off of someone's shirt. I whittled some sticks. After everything was all done, I went back to the house and to hang with the family, and there's a bunch of kids there, so they built a little fire, got some s'mores going, and they had like kind of those long s'more sticks you can buy, but there wasn't really enough of them, so I ended up getting some wood and did a little bit of carving, just, you know, simple pointy sticks for, you know, roasting marshmallows. So that came in handy. Used this for a couple other things too. Actually punched through a, which I was a little hesitant to do, but there was a soda can. The top was all bulged out, I guess in heat or whatever, and instead of wasting it, just punched through the tab on the top and worked fine. So yeah, knife got use, and of course every time I take any knife out, people are usually impressed, the non-knife people, and sometimes scared, and I have to explain to them that it's just a tool. In fact, someone asked me, hey, why do you carry a knife? I said, because it's so handy. Not even 5 minutes later is when I needed it to, you know, sharpen those sticks. And they said, oh, yeah, makes sense. Very cool. So speaking of fire, I did EDC a mini Bic, and inside the dress pants there's like a change pocket. It's like a pocket within a pocket. This fit in there perfectly. The reason I brought this is because I know there's a lot of smokers, and you know, especially in a stressful situation, everyone steps outside and you know has their cigarette. And I figured if I happen to be out there hanging out, someone needs a light. It's a gentleman thing to do, to you know, light the cigarette. So, but I didn't light any cigarettes, but I did start the fire with it. Now the wood situation, basically they had cardboard and they had some 2x6s that were kind of like chopped up, you know, old wood no one was using, I guess. And they had like a branch that came down in a storm. So they're kind of trying to get the fire going. And I gave one of them people that were there the lighter. Wasn't really cutting it. So what I ended up doing was I went to my car because, and everyone who I'm with knows that my wife and I are prepared. You know, so they kind of look to us like, hey, you got something for the situation? And we usually do. In this case, I happen to have fat wood in the car. I don't know how many people carry fat wood in the car, but it came in handy. So yeah, thumbs up for randomly having fat wood. So I grabbed that, and I grabbed, I don't know if you guys saw in an old video, it's a road flare, but it's a mini one. It's like a 6-inch road flare. And I believe they came in 2 packs at Walmart at some time, or maybe they still carry them. These I had a viewer send to me. But I grabbed one of the road flares because, again, 2x6s and, you know, broken branches. Instead of spending the time to properly, you know, process the wood to get a good fire going, I thought, screw it, just pile everything in there and throw the road flare in there, and that worked beautifully. Let that burn out completely. Still wait a little while because obviously you don't want to roast marshmallows over a road flare. I don't think that those chemicals are safe for eating. So once the fire was going good and the road flare was long gone, you know, that's when the kids started roasting the marshmallows and stuff. So yeah, the knife and the lighter, you know, saved the day. The fat wood in the car, even though I don't EDC fat wood, I always have it with me. And for just such an occasion. I mean, how strange, right? You never know what you're gonna need until you have it. In fact, I'll give you another side story. I was at my parents' house last week, and their umbrella outside had ripped. There was such a gust of wind that the pole, you know, like they're all spread out or whatever, each tine, and then the materials around it, it actually pushed through and the material ripped back. And I happen to carry needle and thread. I have Kevlar thread. So my wife had just sewn it right up. Like it was no big deal. So people, when you start, you know, becoming prepared, you start carrying like an EDC bag in the car and all this different stuff and all these different tools, people look to you. It's just kind of funny because, like, family aside, coworkers and, you know, people who you interact with in daily life, they may kind of poke fun at that you're walking around like Rambo and you got all this stuff with you don't need, but they're the first ones to ask you when they need something. And they're also usually the first ones to thank you that you actually had it. So yeah, being prepared is a good thing, always. So yeah, what else? The flashlight, got a Tie 5 from Through Night. Just because it was small and lightweight, I have so many different flashlight options, but this came in handy as well, because at the end of the night, when it was pitch black, and people are leaving, and they're like grabbing stuff to load their vehicles, not even though there was outside lights, you know, people are parked up and down the street and stuff, so I ended up being the designated light guy. So flashlight came in handy as well. All right, so I don't know what happened to this. I don't know why it's so mangled. It was just in my pocket, but I got this at the gas station on the way there, just because in any situation where you're hugging a lot of people and talking to a lot of people, you should have pretty decent breath. You should have decent breath anyway. That should go without saying, but extra important when you're hugging and consoling lots of people. You know, the last thing anyone needs in that situation is your stank breath in their face. So yeah, so at the gas station, it was black, obviously going for a black theme, and so I grabbed it. Like when you're in that kind of situation, you don't want candy. There's lots of mints out there that are more candy than they are actually freshening your breath. Dentine Ice happens to be pretty good at, you know, freshening your breath. So that's why I have that. But again, no explanation as to why it looks like I was standing on it the entire time. So anyway, the watch, Maritac Mini Pilot's watch, worked beautifully. I actually have all black straps. I have 2 of them. One was too short and one was too long. I don't know why. The one that was too long, I could have trimmed. I didn't feel like doing it because kind of last second I ended up switching the band. But I really like this band. It came together nice because it's black with the stainless. I figured the black and the gray kind of matched it, and it did. It looked very nice. I actually got 2 compliments on that, which was cool. But the number one thing that got used the most was the bandana. All right, and this is the one I just got in the battle box. Now this bandana, as someone pointed out in the comments on my battle box video, it is glow in the dark, but it doesn't last that long. So you hit an area and you charge it up, and it does glow in the dark, but it just doesn't last that long. It's kind of a cheap, you know, GID material that's in there, but it is glow in the dark anyway. So yeah, the Bandanna, I swear to God, I took that out probably every 5 minutes the entire day because it was so ridiculously hot out. And obviously for part of the service, we're outside and, you know, we're standing there and everyone's wearing black. Everyone's just pouring sweat. And of course, some people came prepared with tissues and stuff like that, but who wants to, you know, dab their head with a tissue? This thing was perfect. And I swear, if I had a bag of them, I'd be handing them out and everyone would be using them. So yeah, I was sweating like crazy and this thing soaked it all up. As nasty as that sounds, this is going in the wash. This does have to get washed. But the Bandanna is a very useful thing to have in any situation, but all throughout summer, even that much more important, because when you're sweating like that, you want to get out of your face. And I wasn't wearing a hat or anything, so I had nothing to kind of, you know, keep that sweat from dripping on the face, which is not fun. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers it. Obviously, you know, not something you're going to be doing all the time is going to funerals. But when you do, you should, you know, obviously dress appropriately, dress respectfully, but your EDC, you know, will probably change as mine did. All right, so let's go back to the knife for a second here. I want to talk about my knife choice because I had lots of different options on what knives to bring. My criteria was twofold. Number one, it had to be all black, okay? Just by going with the theme, I didn't want a, you know, a silver pocket clip sticking out or a colored pocket clip because of obvious reasons. I wanted it to be kind of subtle. I did carry this just clipped to the, you know, right pocket. But my other criteria was that it had to be big, okay? At least big enough to be a viable defensive option if need be. Even, you know, that sounds ridiculous. There's no knife fights at funerals generally. But just all the situations I was in, it wasn't just, you know, at a funeral home. It wasn't just at a cemetery. There was a lot of different things, a lot of different places that I was. And, you know, I wanted to have that option, especially since I didn't have my neck knife. I didn't have other blades on me other than, you know, my keys. I always have the razor blade and the keys now, but no gun. That was a big deal for me. No gun. If I'm going to go into a situation with no gun, I better have a decent knife on me, and that's why I picked this. If I had my gun and my knife as a defensive option wasn't that big of a deal, I would have went with something that was smaller, more lightweight, maybe even thinner. You know, because when you're dressed up like that, that's how you want to go. That's the direction you want to go, is what's considered a gentleman's knife. And generally speaking, a gentleman's knife is something that's kind of slender, sleek, usually a little bit ritzier, a little bit more expensive. You know, something that, you know, a guy with a suit would carry, you know. So, and of course, the definition of a gentleman's knife does change depending on who you're talking to. But in my eyes, that's what it's always meant. Kind of lightweight, thin, you know, extremely sharp. And just pretty slick looking, you know, nice lines to it. Nothing too abrupt. This is not what I would consider a gentleman's knife. There's very, you know, sharp angles to this. It doesn't kind of flow. But you know, it'll get the job done if I needed to. And it was all black, so that's why I picked it. But yeah, there you go. So that's my funeral EDC. I was very happy that everything I had got used. It was very useful. You know, it's nice to be looked upon when people need things and to be prepared. You know, and it gets people thinking. You know, I was talking to one specific person there, you know, about the knife. Again, asked, you know, hey, why do you carry a knife? And I believe that maybe that person will start carrying a knife now because of that conversation. So who knows? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have an awesome day. And stay tuned because I will do probably another regular EDC update, show you guys what I've been carrying lately this month. But we'll see, maybe towards the end of the month. In the meantime, like I said, hope you have an awesome day. Hope you're enjoying other videos on YouTube. Thanks for stopping by and checking out what I'm posting. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care.